to see how, like, from where I was to like now, I don't think I've seen this many people in an area.
Nice.
So it was awesome to see the growth that this sport has provided.
Oh, that's beautiful, and it's amazing for young individuals out here, or even all around, just to get involved in something like this, right? These after-school activities can be extremely important for helping someone stay on the right path. So
exactly.
Yeah. And then can you give us some insights about the transition from being a player then to being a coach? What did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely something that was really hard at first. It was more so of like understanding who I am as not just a player, but like who I am as a person and how I'm just able to teach the sport of softball and how I'm a communicator. So I feel like I've matured a lot since becoming a coach and just been able to use my voice more. And as I continue to grow, I get to learn more about myself.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. And then the last thing I just want to ask is if there's any advice that you can give, the next generation who want to maybe follow in your footsteps, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is to just don't be afraid to try it.
Nice.
Don't be afraid to go and try.
I ask that you please help us keep this top of mind, as well as other quality of life programs that can include that can help the citizens of the city of Lancaster and all across the Antelope Valley, empowering residents here in northern Los Angeles County. Because we are facing some difficult circumstances and some dark days, and we ask that you help us get through those days together. In our Father's name we pray, amen. Amen. Commissioner Sanchez, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Now, before we begin, I would just like to take a moment of silence for Deputy Klinkenbrummer to honor him and his service. Thank you so much. Now, before we continue, are there any commissioners who have anything that they'd like to say before we continue with today's meeting? Perfect. I would now like to ask for the approval of minutes for the consent calendar. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to accept the minutes.
I second the motion to accept the minutes.
Perfect, thank you so much. We have a motion and a second for the approval of the July 19th minutes. May I have a vote, please? Assistant City Clerk. Perfect, thank you so much. The motion passes with 4 yes votes. Now, we have some presentations today, and the first presentation will be from City of Lancaster Youth Services, Diversion and Development, presenter Nigel Hawley with Public Safety.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for having me here. Thanks to our chief and our city staff. It's an honor in more ways than one to stand before this commission. I'm going to try to be expeditious and share some information with you guys that hopefully will be useful, and so that you can have a clearer picture of what we're doing in the Public Safety Department through our youth services programs.
Perfect, thank you.
The Youth Services Program is a part of an alliance, the Antelope Valley Education Alliance. That alliance is one where we've realized that it takes a village to raise a child. No one entity can do it alone. We understand that kids care when they know that you care. And kids are some of the best as far as sniffing out if someone's being phony with them or not. So we make sure that we approach this work with an open and honest heart. And we also know that the need is great in our community. And our goal is to build a bigger, better, stronger future. As I said, it takes a village. So some of our partners are the Antelope Valley Union High School District, Future Leaders California, the Justice Sunday Alumni, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Parents, Educators, and Students in Action, the National Alliance of Faith and Justice, the Pen or Pencil Mentoring Program, as well as the 400 Years of African American History Commission. The Antelope Valley Education Alliance was formed in 2013. We had a meeting of the minds, members of the community, along with the mayor and the public safety department, on how we can address things such as chronic absenteeism. And true story, when we first decided to roll this program out, I had an opportunity to meet with Commissioner DeLoach, and we vetted the program with Commissioner DeLoach over at Antelope Valley High School a decade ago. And he asked some strong questions, and so we had to go back and tweak some things and come back before we rolled it out. So it's been 10 years. The program, in short, is a curriculum that was created to change the paradigm in the mindsets of youth. How do we get students to go to school, but not only go to school, go to class and actually learn so that they can become productive citizens? So we created something that we refer to as a reality wheel. I will not go into the details of that reality wheel. It's outside the scope of this meeting. But we do have a curriculum that we use for our mentorship programs to address chronic absenteeism, as well as we work with some of our CBO partners to do parenting classes, conflict resolution, and anger management. From the Antelope Valley Education Alliance, we were able to connect with the Justice Sunday program. That program has been in this valley for over 2 decades under the leadership of Bishop Henry Hearns. That is a national program that is celebrated all across the country to commemorate Dr. Martin Luther King. It is a day in which we want everyone to see where activism aligns with faith. Roughly 8 years ago, Bishop Hearns approached me and asked if we could somehow incorporate more of the youth that we're already working with through the Antelope Valley Education Alliance into the Justice Sunday program, and it had phenomenal success. So we've been able to now grow that program and partner with what is now known as the Justice Sunday Alumni. I'll give you more details on that a little later in the presentation, to create a culture of mentorship in our high school district. We started off with 8 students at one high school, and now we work with students from every comprehensive high school sites as well as our alt sites. We have even gotten to the point, and I'll talk more about it when we get to the JSA, to where those students who have gone through the program now come back and mentor the students who are in the program currently. Those students are now referred to as the Justice Sunday alumni. Part of the benefits of the alumni is awards and recognition from all over the country, as well as help and assistance with financial aid, help and assistance with college applications, help and assistance with job location, but more importantly, help and assistance with mentorship, leadership training, learning how to network, and learning how to be a productive citizen. Some of our highlights are there. I will make sure that you guys can get a copy of the slide deck so that you can read them at your leisure. I do want to play a quick video on the Justice Sunday program. I have cut it down a bit so that you guys can get home and you don't have to stay here with me all night.
Such as in locations like Antelope Valley. These young people are continuing a tradition that started more than 20 years ago in the Antelope Valley community of Northern California. They come together during their winter break, and in just 25 to 30 days, they research, write, and perform scenes from history to the present day for Justice Sunday. India Schmidt joined the Justice Sunday program when she was 15 years old and a freshman in high school.
As the student body of the AP, we do all the research. We pick a theme for the year. We bring everybody together and research for a couple days before we start writing a script outline, writing characters, and working out costuming and sets. We do all the sets ourselves too, and the props. So everybody kind of brings their talents to the table, and we always find somewhere for them to fit in.
Interest in the program has grown over the years. Last year, 40 students gave up their winter break to participate in Justice Sunday. This year, more than 70 have signed up.
I really think it comes from word of mouth from students who are graduating or still in high school, sharing it with their friends and getting their friends involved, even if it's just something to do over the break, and it spreads, and it's a lot more fun than it might seem at first as a high schooler giving up your entire winter break. But we have a lot of fun.
I've participated in Justice Sunday for about 5 years now. This upcoming one would be my 6th. With being a part of Justice Sunday for that amount of time, I've been able to share my own experiences with others and help mentor those around me. I was heavily involved with choir, and as of last year, I took the role of being the music director, which really pushed me to be a mentor and be able to be there for the youth.
Black lives matter, thin blue line, right on justice, your presence is the crime.
These programs are very impactful, and I'm glad to see that it has not only affected the lives of the youth that are directly involved within them, but has also affected the lives of those who are there to see.
Cole, he's my miracle.
So we're going to go back to the slide deck, and then we'll come. Okay. All right. So Justice Sunday has been so successful that last year, Public Safety, the school district, and Parks and Recs partnered to create what we are referring to as the Justice Sunday Festival. So this started with 20 years ago, roughly 8 years ago, was turned over to the youth, 8 students. And now today is an all-day festival celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King and our history as a community and the things that we're willing to invest in and to change. So if that's not a community paradigm shift, I wouldn't know how to better define one. The festival and through the program teaches students leadership, research, writing, networking, and public speaking skills so that they, again, go on to be successful in life. Our end goal is to remap the minds of those students who could have quite possibly been thrown away, but then also enhance the life and the minds of those students who were already investing in their educations. From Justice Sunday, we created something that was called a Teen Talk because we had, we'll say, an adverse reaction to one of the productions that the students put on. It was maybe a little too real and authentic. And so we discovered that the students had a question about law enforcement, and we understood that law enforcement had a question about how to interact with the community. And the answer to that question was what we call Teen Talk. And so we brought together both of our departments, both the Lancaster department as well as the Palmdale department, to have a discussion on how to interact with one another, the students interacting with law enforcement and law enforcement interacting with the students. And that program has went on to grow to affect how law enforcement and our youth communicate. And from this, another program was birthed. We are hosting over 150 students every time we have this program. We're educating the students on human trafficking. We're educating the students on the effects of alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, as well as fentanyl. We are teaching the students what it's like in a day in the life of a deputy, as well as taking those students to a higher level and even higher level, as if law enforcement isn't high enough, to the judicial bench by bringing in judges to teach them on what it's like to become a sitting judge. Here's a quick video on what that looks like.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Teen Talk.
My name is Nigel Holly, and we want to make sure that you guys get as much as possible out of this summit, but at the same time, have some fun. And who's with me here today is Teresa Howard.
Hi, I'm Teresa Howard. I'm a director of industry liaison and post-secondary partnerships for the AV Union High School District. I want the kids to see that these law enforcement officers are human beings, just like the kids are human beings. I am here today. Nigel and I have been working on this. This is our third annual Teen Talk Summit, so thank you so much for being here. We're very excited what the day is going to bring for you all.
You guys are going to have a wonderful MC joining me and Teresa today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm a sophomore at Soar High School. Being here and being appreciated like this, really, it makes us feel good as students. It makes us want to go out there and do more.
The word care came from me. And I say this, if you don't care, nothing can happen cool. But if you really care, you make an effort. You put some skin in the game to make something happen.
It takes a lot of courage to engage in a conversation like this, to come in open-minded and being willing to listen and learn.
Every one of you in this room is an influencer, right? When you all stood, because you're doing something positive in your schools, right? You're influencing somebody else.
I'm Chief Dennis Neer with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department's North Patrol Division. So I think it's important that we collaborate with the people that we serve.
And the goal is to get a common understanding of each other. Really, what is it that the teens are looking to do? What is it that law enforcement is looking to do? And really get a better understanding of each other.
Oh, say can.
All right. So those are just some snippets of Justice Sunday Teen Talk and a quick highlight of what we're doing with our truancy program. Let's see. But from the truancy, from the Teen Talk program, I'm getting them twisted up here. From the Teen Talk program, what we discovered from students, community feedback, and the feedback of our law enforcement agencies was that there needed to be more. There needed to be a deeper dive, a better understanding on what we're doing with our youth and how they're engaging law enforcement and community policing. So in working with other agencies and our current chief, which we want to make sure we congratulate for that position, we came up with Youth for Justice. Youth for Justice is the brainchild of the city of Lancaster and Future Leaders California, one of the community-based organizations that works with us to better engage law enforcement, but also create a pathway for students to get into law enforcement, because ultimately we want to retain local talent. What tends to happen in the Antelope Valley is that our kids grow up, they go off to college, and then they don't come back. And so what we want to do is to encourage those students that grow up in this Antelope Valley, even if they go off for college, that they come back and invest back into this valley. One such student is Commissioner Sanchez, who has grown, came through these very same programs, went off to college and came back, and now she's leading our valley as a commissioner. Another such would be one of our life coaches that is sitting behind me, named Sean Cannon, who has grown up in this valley, came through these programs, and has also started to lead our valley as deputy mayor. And we have yet another who is chairing this very commission, who has come up through these same programs that we're presenting to you guys today, and is now leading this valley. So I say all that to say this: it works. If we invest the time, we invest the resources, we can change lives, and we can build a better Antelope Valley. A few other programs I'm going to go through relatively quickly so that the other presenters can come up. We work with the California Association of Youth Courts. This association works with the teen court programs all across the state. They work with us very closely in the city of Lancaster, very closely with our CBO partners, and they help sponsor students to go on college trips. We just did one this summer to Redlands University, where our students had an opportunity to experience college life. 3 days, they got a chance to sleep in the dorms, eat in the cafeterias, and actually understand what it's gonna be like when they graduate from high school. We had hundreds of students there from all over the state. We also have incorporated a Future Leaders Breakfast that we do annually, where we allow students to come out and meet with different public officials, different professionals, i.e. engineers, lawyers, attorneys, so that they can get a clear understanding of what those careers look like and what they may be able to get into if it piques their interest. We also work with the Museum of Tolerance, where we bring students down to the Museum of Tolerance. They get an opportunity to tour the entire museum. They get to meet Holocaust survivors. We've had people from the Little Rock Nine, as well as other historical figures, to educate our students on what's going on and to teach them about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the importance of all people and everyone's humanity. Here is a picture of us at the Museum of Tolerance working with some of the judges that helped put on the program. The program is called SHADES. SHADES stands for Stop Hate and Delinquency Through Empowering Students. What's coming soon is an expansion of the programs through vertical alignment, where now we're working with the middle schools and the elementary schools so that we can take a passing of the Patan approach, relay race style, for our mentors. So we'll start mentoring the students as early as elementary school, and our goal is to have mentors in place for each graduation cycle. So our elementary school kids will be passed on to mentors that are in middle school, and then our middle school kids will be passed on to mentors in high school. The goal is, again, to create that paradigm shift amongst our youth. We're also looking to bring in a Lancaster Youth Court to work with our students to give them an opportunity to have low-level and misdemeanor crimes diverted, so that our students don't have to have records and carry those on into the future. And we're also bringing in a Youth Activities League, where our Sheriff's Department will have an opportunity to work with our students and give them opportunities to do different things such as sports, jiu-jitsu, boxing, and the like. This is a deeper dive in our vertical alignment. Again, I will disseminate these slides to you guys so that you can have an opportunity to read them at your own leisure. Here's a deeper dive for our Lancaster Youth Court and some of the things that we plan to do with it. And if there's any questions, I will gladly answer those questions at this time.
Do any of our commissioners have any questions about the presentation or comments about the presentation we just heard?
I do.
Awesome, please.
Thank you for your presentation. It was insightful, and I only had one question. Has your program that you work in Antelope Valley been replicated in any other comprehensive sites?
Yes. So we rolled it out at Eastside High School, and now we're working towards rolling it out at Lancaster High School this year. So we rolled it out at Eastside High School last year. This year we're rolling out at Lancaster High School, and we're also in discussions with Eastside School District to roll it out to that school district as well.
And two facilitators per site, or are they starting smaller?
So we're working with local CBOs to help with the human capital portion of the rollouts, as well as the school districts having some of their staffing help staff it, and public safety is overseeing the programs.
Okay. Do you think it would be a benefit to have more programs?
Absolutely. Resources are always good to have.
And with 10 years, I would have hoped that it would have grown. We would have made an investment seeing the success that you and John have had. So it's just my wonder. Thank you.
And it has grown through adding on more programs. The truancy portion, we are rolling out and growing it out a lot more now. It was a contracted program initially, and now it's a program under the Department of Public Safety now, which gives us some latitude for growth.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Ramos.
I took down so many, I was jotting really fast, such great work. I love the expansion and just obviously, you know, word of mouth where people hear about it, and just the great opportunities for our youth. And I'm just really so excited about what I just saw. I think mentors are key. Everyone has to have a person, right? They have to have a person that is going to help lead them in the right direction and be there for them when things happen and when things go awry. And a lot of what you shared, if not all of it, is just adding that extra layer to keep our kids, to keep our youth on the right direction. And I'm just really excited because we have, in every community, and the AV is no exception, we really need we need mentors, we need support to help our youth feel value added. And my goodness, we have leaders to the left and to the right of me, the commissioners and Deputy Mayor Cannon, who have experienced it, who helped initiate it, and with you, Mr. Hawley, all the great work that you've done. I'm just so excited. So what do we do so we continue to grow this? That really, it's not rhetorical, but because there's a lot of work that needs to be done, obviously, and a lot that has been done. But if there's anything, obviously, I'm sure Chair Gio would agree, whatever we can do to help support. I'm so thankful for the work that's been done. We also have we have a lot of youth out there that are, we have foster youth, for example, that are out in the community. I'm sure they're a part of this as well. So my question is there a way, are there multiple avenues to refer? I heard school, which is a great connection, right? At the schools is how we connect with the kids. But are there ways for families to refer or caregivers to refer to the program? And again, there's so much I could say. Mentors are key in life. So just great work. But that's my question.
Great question. As of now, all of our referrals come through the school districts. So a student would be identified on campus or identified for not coming to campus, and then we would pull those students based upon that. We do our own data analysis where we will actually pull data out of the school districts, our schools, to identify certain students. But yeah, they're referred through the district at this time.
Fantastic, thank you. And then the Lancaster Youth Court that's coming, do we know when that may begin?
We're still in discussions. We do have an approved MOU on file with a CBO that we're working with. There is a few other things that we need to take care of. A few I's need to be dotted, a few more T's need to be crossed. It is our hopes that within the next 12 months that we will have it up and running. But we will definitely be more than happy to come back and report out the progress to this commission.
Great work, Mr. Hawley, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes, I just have a comment. So yeah, I want to emphasize the importance of these programs, and I mean how Mr. Hawley said, I went through these programs and I received the mentorship as a first generation, it was life-changing for me. And seeing them in action now and how it positively impacts our youth is just amazing to see. So thank you for everything you do for our community and for our youth.
Thank you.
I appreciate this so very much for more reasons than one. But I firstly want to say that this work is incredible because it tackles something that we know that our students are dealing a lot with, which is making it to school on time, X, Y, and Z. We know that all of those things help increase socialization and whatnot. We want to make sure that kids have strong relationships with their peers and with the other students that they go to school with. And so I'm very thankful that this has been a focus for you. I did just want to ask if there were any ways that we could get like some of the data for specifically like how chronic absenteeism with campuses has went down like over time.
Yes, we
Okay,
can
awesome,
provide
perfect.
that information.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Now, before we go on to the next presentation, I know that Deputy Mayor Cannon has to leave soon.
Hey, Mr. Chair, one second.
Oh, so sorry.
I just wanted to share with this commission that, you know, I've 35 years, I've worked all over the county. I've worked with countless individuals who work with youth, and we have a rare talent here in this man, and it is heartfelt. He does this from the heart, you know, because he could certainly have left this position years ago, could certainly have promoted within the city, even into management positions. We've had these conversations. And I've even talked to him about, hey, if you ever want to look into management, let's talk, you know, and I'm doing what I love doing. So we're lucky to have this individual right here.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Thank you. Perfect. So if it is all right with everyone here, I would like to move the third presentation up, just snap it, up to the next presentation, just because, again, in the interest of time, I do know that Deputy Mayor Cannon has to leave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for the deference. I'm a little busy this evening. So I just wanted to come to, excuse me, I wanted to come before the commission today to give an update about a program that we, okay, sorry about that. I'm here to give an update to the commission about a program that you may remember called Just Snap It. Myself and Candace Vanderhyde, who's on city staff, came before the commission and with a solution to a major public safety problem that we have in this community and communities across the country. Right now, and amongst my generation and our demographic, Gen Z, the leading cause of death is tied with violent crime, vehicular collisions. And when you look at that a little bit deeper, you will see that it's young drivers hitting young cyclists. And so in this commission, we brainstormed about how can we address that. We talked about a PSA campaign, calling it Just Snap It, using it as an acronym to empower and educate young drivers to create a generation of safe streets and safe drivers. We have been working, Candace and I have been working diligently to get a grant for this, and I'm happy to report that we have been tentatively approved for a grant. And today I'm just going to give you guys some of the benchmarks and phases and tentative calendars that are going to be rolling out, and you all will be made aware of as we finalize this and once it goes to council and an agreement is approved. So Just Snap It is focusing on young drivers to reduce the risk and establish lifelong safety habits. Just Snap It is an educational and public awareness campaign focused on high school and adult drivers. The S stands for safety. You have a long life ahead of you. Be whole and happy as you share it with and have no regrets. The N stands for need a ride. Do you need a ride? Know who to call and when to call them. The A is for act. How to recognize and respond to safety risks with respect to yourself or your friends. Pull over if you're drowsy, call for a ride if you're impaired, and tell a friend to put the food away or the phone and pay attention to driving. Ask an aggressive driver to stop and pull over and let you out in a safe location. Peers, the P is for peers, peer pressure or peer encouragement. With our former sheriff captain, this P we spent weeks on, on whether or not it should be peer pressure or peer encouragement, and we decided, you know what, it needs to be both because they're two different things. Peer pressure, no, peer encouragement is have a good one, bro. Drive safe. That's peer encouragement. Peer pressure is, why are you trying to impress me by driving like an idiot? Pull over. You're being like, this makes no sense. This isn't cool to me. Because what we know in our generation is that oftentimes in these instances, the driver is trying to impress the passenger. If the passenger is not impressed by this, we have just eliminated a possible collision. And also, the passenger may want to let the driver know, even though they're uncomfortable, may not want to express that, and they want to stay cool. We're going to do a paradigm shift in young people, just like they did with smoking and tobacco and vaping now. So we're going to be rolling this out. We're going to be targeting the high schools and the college. There is going to be a steering committee. I'm going to talk a little bit about that after these updates. So the tentative calendar and phases. So we're going to conduct a before survey. We're looking to use that as an add-on to the annual student tallies for safe routes to school, and that's in fall of this year, which is coming up. We're looking at doing assemblies and events, school-based assemblies or community-based events, and all of those locations and things are to be determined, but just here's some of the things that we've talked about. In October, on the 24th, there is a college fair. On November the 8th and 9th at the AB Fairgrounds, the recognition of World Day of Remembrance at the 2-day Youth Summit, and presenting on Just Snap It and inviting students to be a part of either the steering committee or a school site ambassador. And so we're estimated to connect with maybe 150 students. But again, we're looking for not just leaders and maybe a commissioner, but also students on that steering committee. We're looking for student ambassadors. So Just Snap It ambassadors that are leaders that are already in their schools, and hopefully we can tap into that demographic of young people that have lost friends or loved ones to these types of activities. So we're obviously going to be doing a presentation to our impact volunteers. We have a group of young people here in the city already where we can start. And in January and February, we are looking at incorporating this into the Justice Sunday Festival, and again, assemblies at each of the schools. In April, April's Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and we want to address this underreported cause of crashes, which includes more than just cell phone use, but also encompasses drowsy driving, eating, grooming, talking, multimedia education. We're going to be using, we're going to stigmatize this. And the best way to stigmatize something is to use the generations that is coming up. A lot of things that, our older generations may have thought was cool, we have made uncool. We can make dangerous driving uncool, but it's not just about dangerous driving. It's about giving students and giving young people the tools to make a safety plan within their friend groups and in their families to know that if you're drowsy, pull over. If you need a ride after that party, leave your car in the parking lot and have somebody come pick you up. I promise your mom is going to want to come pick you up before she would let you drive in a state when you're impaired. Impaired driving does imply substances, but sometimes impaired driving can be, I'm too tired to drive right now. And so social media campaign, Just Snap It, right? So again, you have a long life ahead of you. You need to be safe. It all starts with your seatbelt. We're going to advertise the availability of rides, how you can get a ride, knowing when to call, who to call, how to call, and we're going to get the students Just Snap It wristbands. So if you remember the Just Say No, I remember. The Just Say No campaigns when I was growing up, we thought were so corny. We thought they were very corny. However, when we grew up, we thought, now I'm a 22-year-old, I think smoking cigarettes is corny. So it's like, even though back in the day, we were like, I just want the wristband, it does do something. And we have created a generation that thinks smoking isn't cool. We can create a generation that thinks driving impaired is not cool or dangerous driving is not cool. And then we're going to do an after survey in June of 2024. We're looking to bring this this agreement before the council this year, before the year is over. And once that happens, I'll be back giving you guys an update, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that update. Do any of our commissioners have any questions or comments? Commissioner Ramos.
I just want to say thank you for the update. Sounds like you've made some really good progress, and can't wait until that is realized and we see it. So, so congratulations on moving forward with that.
Thank you.
Also, congratulations on getting a grant. I know how hard that process can be. So keep me informed. If I can be of service on the steering committee, I don't mind.
And I just want to, and I would take that thanks, but I just also want to reiterate that, you know, the ideas came from myself and a community member who lost her daughter to this sort of incident. But when it comes to getting the grants, yes, we were able to give that idea and give some context for the grant, but I have to thank our city staff and specifically Candace Vanderhyde for all of the work she did. Candace is my partner in soul in this. A lot of the meetings that we've had about this, we have both just cried. But it feels great to be working in a city and to be working in a city staff with city staff that, you know, feels this as deeply as we do and are ready to put the resources and the facilitation behind it. And I'm so thankful. Candace couldn't be here today, but I'm just so thankful to work with her and this commission.
Commissioner Sanchez.
I just want to thank you for the update and thank you for the hard work you've been putting into this. We're excited to see
Thank you.
the turnout.
With this, I won't be too long, but I really just want to say that whenever you go down a street in the city of Lancaster, I know that most of us, unfortunately, see crosses on the side of the road more frequently than we would like to. And that is a public health crisis. Yeah. And I appreciate that you are giving this public health crisis the urgency that it deserves, because our students deserve to grow up and turn into fully functioning human beings in our society. And so I appreciate that you are really focusing on the steps to ensure that they stay that way, and that they're making good decisions about exactly how they're relating with their young people in the car, X, Y, and Z. So I appreciate all of this work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if I may, just two other points. This Just Snap It campaign, the great part about it is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is going to be expand the City See and Be Seen campaign, which was to target pedestrians and cyclists, and their community part was in the elementary schools and middle schools. This is bringing, Just Snap is going to bring it into the high schools. And the second thing is that when Nigel just talked about youth leadership, and there is some youth leadership here in this commission, but we also want to let the community know that being a leader can start and end right there in your friend group. You can be a leader in your friend group and save lives.
Perfect.
Can I
Thank
add
you so
one more
much.
thought to
Yeah.
your contemplation? In 2023, since your acronym is SNAP It, you know how they have those little bracelets that are about this long? They're kind of metal or plastic, and you hit your wrist with it and it snaps it. You may want to consider those.
Snap the wristband. So one of the things we are asking is for a commissioner to be on the steering committee. We have, one of the names that was mentioned was Commissioner Delos, because he's in the schools as well as on the city commission. So if it is okay with Commissioner Delos and Chairman Chip Pope, we would love to have you on our steering committee and helping us spearhead this process.
I don't mind serving.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And our third presentation will be Damaged Goods Organization with presenter Taniqua Bedford. And thank you so much to Deputy Mayor Cannon for that presentation.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Chairman, Commissioners.
Hello.
Chief, and all those that stand before us. We thank you so much for this opportunity. We don't take it lightly. I am Taniqua Bedford. This is my husband, Alvin Bedford. And so we had a video that we wanted to show, but unfortunately we couldn't get the video to play. And we're going to also incorporate within this slide the individual of the video that we wanted you guys to watch. So we are the founders of Damaged Goods Organization. We are a faith-based organization, but we do not force any belief on anyone. We stand on the principles of Jeremiah 29:11. God knows the plans that he has for all of us, plans to prosper us and not put us in harm's way. And so we advocate for that particular reason. This is a vision given to me by God. I came out here and did not expect to be standing before any of you presenting like this, but I came out here around probably 20 years ago as a victim of abuse, put in hiding from my abuser through the victims of crime. When I left, I had nothing. All I had was a toothbrush, my faith, and my children. I've been able to rebuild my life in the Antelope Valley. And one particular ministry that I was in when I was hiding was Bishop Dorsey's ministry. And so they really didn't understand what I was going through. They saw me, but they really didn't know that the whole while I was in church, I was really hiding from my abuser. And so God gave me the vision to bring forth this organization that would help the battered and the abused recover from their traumatic experiences and be able to get back to self-sufficiency. So we birthed the organization in 2018, and we had Audrey Chisholm's law firm, very profound law firm, do our work for us. And so, do you want to add anything?
Well, first of all, I just thank you guys for having us, Commissioner Deloach, Commissioner Ramos, Chairperson Christian Pope, and Miss Commissioner Sanchez, newly elect Mr. Roderick Armelin, and respectfully the lady sitting next to you. Again, like I said, we are a damaged goods organization. My name is Alvin Bedford. This is my wife, Taniqua Bedford. And we advocate against domestic violence with men, women, and children. And we specifically targeted each individuals, but especially men, because as we know, it's pretty much like a taboo subject where men hate to come forward with saying they are getting abused. So therefore, that's my part to try to mentor to the men. But again, we advocate for men, women, and children. And we want to talk about the Shimona.
No, we're going to go to the next slide.
Okay.
So I am a certified domestic violence advocate in sexual assault and a sociology major. And so we stand on the core principles. When we were putting the organization together, we were struggling with a mission statement. And I was like, I just don't feel like I want to do the same thing that another organization is doing. So we came up with 7, because my favorite number is 7, completion. So we came up with 7 bullets that we stand on: hope, integrity, trust, empowerment, community awareness, advocacy, and safety. When you hear damaged goods, you're going to hear about hope, integrity. We stand on what we believe, which is that in our realm of what we do, we don't ever want to be looked at as we're not honest or we didn't operate in integrity of what we do. We do believe that we have a profound organization. We're working hard in our community, but when you see us, we don't want people to run from us. We want people to gravitate toward us, what we do. So our core mission at Damaged Goods Organization is, again, we're just dedicated to helping those who are recovering from abuse with referrals and resources. One thing I find is that if you have ever been in a situation and you've had someone who was a drug addict, for example, the best thing is to know for another person who's been through that situation to be able to come back and help other individuals who are going through the same thing. So it's personal for someone to be able to grab another person's hand who's walked through it, and we all can contest to that. We've heard the testimonies, and then to be able to come back and to pull someone else forward. And because I had that same opportunity. Do you want to add to that?
No, I just want to add one of our first victims, Miss Shimona Jackson. This is a young lady who was suffering from domestic violence. We brought her in from Tennessee. She had 2 small children, and at the time she was pregnant with her 3rd child. We helped this young lady get from Tennessee to the Antelope Valley. And during that process, as we helped them get out, it was just a passion of mine because I have 4 daughters. And just being, having 4 daughters and going through situations with them and, with knucklehead boyfriends and people like that trying to police, my daughter's situation. And we was passionate about this young lady because I have a great aunt, Miss Fannie Lou Hamer, and she pretty much coined a phrase, you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I guess this young lady, she was sick and tired because not only did she drive from Tennessee to California, mind you, again, she had 2 small children and she was pregnant with a third. When we brought this family out here, my wife came to me and was like, babe, can we, because at the time, we was having problems with resources and referrals. So we was like, my wife came to me and was like, well, baby, can we bring this family into our home? So not only we brought this family into our home, the 2 small children that I remember have so much fun with, because it was a young boy and a young girl. And as we know, young kids, they tend to talk about everything. And during the time as we went to Walmart to get them clothes and things like that, these young kids just started to talk about their situation. And it was kind of humorous, but at the same time, it was sad knowing that these kids actually witnessed what was going on. And as we got to our house, they stayed there for a day or so. And we gave the mom a break because, as I said, she was pregnant. She drove from Tennessee to California. So basically what I did, I took the children to the park. And, I'm a sports advocate. So we were just tossing the ball around with the young boy and the young daughter. And I remember before they left to go to Laura's house, excuse me for me, I'm getting choked up behind this because again, we are passionate about this. And the young man, the little boy, I gave him a football. And he and we was tossing around in the backyard. And I made a point because like I said, I have children, of my own. And this little boy, he gravitated to me. He was pulling on my leg, and the little girl, she was just pulling on me and everything. So I really got attached to these kids. So what I did, I gave them, I wrote down my phone number, and I said, if you ever need me or whatever, give me a call. So I put it, he took it, put it in his pocket. A couple of years later, after Shimona Jackson had went through the program at Laura's house, we had lost contact with him. And all of a sudden, we get a phone call that one day. And I'm thinking, how did they find us? And you never know the impact you have on a child. This young boy who I gave that number to in his pocket, he still had that phone number. And he reached out to us, and that just brought us so much joy. And again, we advocate against domestic violence. We are Damaged Goods. How that name came about, I used to do a courtesy clerk at a grocery store, and we had what we call the damaged goods section, where some of the canned goods were damaged on the outside, but on the contents on the inside was still good. Hence the name Damaged Goods. And it can pretty much go both ways, because you have people that are battered and abused on the outside, but they're still good on the inside. And also, in the reverse process of that, there's people that are damaged on the inside, but still on the outside, they still have to wake up every day and have to smile and have to pretend like everything is okay. So again, we are a Damaged Goods organization, and we advocate for domestic violence, helping the battered and abused rebuild their lives through referrals and resources.
Next slide, please. So we are basically coming soon with our groups again, the cocoon phase. We call these groups the cocoon phase because in the process of a cocoon, before it turns and becomes this beautiful butterfly, it's an ugly process. It's not a really good process. And so we found out that within an individual that could be going through domestic violence or coming out of domestic violence, that we had a conference, as we're leaders in the community as well. I'm a pastor, my husband is a deacon. And so we found out that we hosted an event, a conference called the Beauty in the Cocoon Conference. And we usually host it out here in Lancaster at the Cedar Art Building. And we found out that women, more so, were still going through some of the issues that they were dealing with. And so it could have been 2 years, 3 years down the line, and they were still struggling in some areas of what do I do now? And so we found out that sometimes they often repeat the same cycle because they don't have anything to do now. And so we came up with the Beauty in the Cocoon support groups. We would host them in Palmdale, but then we kind of got, that it kind of, we didn't have a location, so we had to put them on hold. But it was very successful groups because in those groups, we're able to bring women and men, if they choose to come, to the table, and we're able to still deal with the issues that they're still dealing with. For example, they were still crying and saying that they were still having things in the inside that they didn't know that they were dealing with. So we found out that this was not only a profound way to deal with what they're still dealing with, we found it a way that when you go to an Alcohol Anonymous class, what happens is you get a mentor, right? And so that mentor walks with you. That mentor is someone who grabs your hand and say, I understand what you're going through. So we formed Undamaged Alliance Foundation, and it's a mentorship that now we brought in under Damaged Goods Organization. And what it is that we formulate these groups and we come together. We normally would come together every Friday, once a month. And that in that group, it's where you can come just like you go to an AA meeting and you can express yourself. We can find ways that we can talk to them, and then we don't just drop them. We want to give them a mentor that if they are struggling with something, that they can call that mentor who went through the program or went through the group and say, you know what, I understand. Hold on, you can do it. Someone to motivate them. So we love turning adversity into opportunity through these groups, somewhere where they can come back and say, even if it's been 3 years, then I'm still struggling, because they're gonna go back and they're gonna repeat the same cycle because they're still dealing with issues that they have not even understood. And this is how the cycle continues to repeat. Next slide, please. Oh, wow, okay. So one of our favorite events, Children's Awareness Day. We just had it September the 9th, and this is just us in action at what we do. We just had the opportunity to service about 200 families in the community. We have a representative from Senator Scott Wilkes' office. We presented our city with a plaque for supporting us, also acknowledging the leaders that paved the way for us in the community to make this event happen. We started 5 years ago with this event small, and so we basically just take this event and we advocate against child abuse. So we basically cater to the community. We have food trucks, we have game trucks, we have characters, and it's all free. We pay for it, the organization pays for it. And so we have a quote up there: the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel the warmth. There's a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. I'm gonna say it again. There's a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. That child is hurting. They go home, you don't know what they're going home to. They could be being beat, raped, neglected. 95% of the children in the system have been neglected and abused.
Yes, again, we advocate against domestic violence. As you know, there was a young man, there were 3 young men, Anthony Avalos, Gabriel, and Noah. And as my wife alluded to, you never know what a child is going through at home. They could be getting beat, abused, just tormented. And there's this old Chuck E. Cheese slogan where it says, just let a kid be a kid. And what we do for that one day, as my wife alluded to, we bring these children out. We fed up to 200 children. Just let kids be a kid for the day. I mean, and just the laughter and the joy of seeing those children just having a good time, because, again, you never know what that child is going home to. And as we saw from past experiences where they're getting locked in the closet, locked in boxes, and just getting abused. So again, it just warms my heart just to see these kids out there laughing and smiling and having a good time. And again, everything is free. The organization pays for it. We've partnership with Sam's Club and Walmart. And what we do, again, just let the kids come out, and again, just let kids be a kid for that day.
So we have some statistics for you. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, statistics do not lie. So on an average, nearly 20 per minute, women, including men, are physically abused by their intimate partner in the United States. A child who witnesses domestic violence, 9 times out of 10, if it's a boy, a young boy, he's gonna grow up to be that abuser, or the female's gonna grow up to think that that's what she has to tolerate. And so when it's in the home, 1 in 5 children are exposed to intimate partner violence each year, and 90% of these children are eyewitness to violence. It is a epidemic, a disease that is running rapidly in our community and our world. Next slide, please. Here we just have some misconceptions. We won't go through them all for time's sake, but we just wanted to educate you guys on some misconceptions and some realities in society that we have to deal with, what we advocate against. For example, abuse does not happen in the LGBTQ community. We advocate against all areas of abuse, elderly abuse, child abuse. We are not hypocrites. So we advocate against all areas of abuse. Abuse is abuse. And so basically, we find that the community of the LGBT, they get abused a lot. Really, they do, for the choice that they make, and this is their choice, and we have to love them regardless. So we do have a representative that sits in our organization that is over our LGBTQ community. We have built very strategically and profoundly, and so we wanted to just give you guys just some insight on what the world, what society, how they think, and we're just here to break those negative stigmas. Next, please. And so once again, here's a quote from Walt Disney: "The way to get started is to quit talking about it and doing it." So we're just out here doing what we do. We love what we do. We're passionate about what we do. A lot of people say we haven't heard of you. Well, you know what? We're coming. We're here. Next, please. This is our founding team. Of course, myself, my husband, Alexa back here, who's retired, LVN nurse in the mental health field, over 30 years of mental health experience. Our national director lives in another state, but we are profoundly, she believed in the vision, she jumped on board. We're actually flying out in October because she's opening up her first community center in South Carolina. So we are just excited about what we're bringing to the community. Next, please. So again, we wanted to show you guys a video. Nicole Nick Myastes is a young lady who, when I came to AV, I had the opportunity. I was going to school, I was rebuilding my life, but I was afraid to date. So I started dating a guy named Robert Brown, who I grew up with. Nevertheless, I learned to look at the red flags. Robert Brown started to show characteristics of an abuser or a narcissist behavior. And so basically, we have some goals here. Our goal is to basically increase staffing, to bring Nicole's house to the AV, as my husband alluded. When we're looking, every time we try to find resources from people who are referred to our hotline, we have a 24-hour hotline. We cannot get them any help in the AV. For some reason, we have one shelter out here. They refuse to take any victim we refer. So we were able to figure out we need more shelters. We do. And so basically just our goal within 2024 and 25 is to bring forward not only training and resources, but Nicole's house. So Nicole was killed by Robert Brown, which was the same person that helped me in the home hostage. And so I made it out and Nicole didn't. So Nicole left behind her 2 children, and we take Nicole everywhere we go. Next, please. So this is who my husband was talking about. This is our success story.
Yes.
This is Shimona and her kids' life after abuse. One of the stigmas, if you go back to the slide, was that people cannot come out of abuse. They can. I have, and Shimona has.
Yes.
We believe in making sure that we let the community understand that it can happen if you don't give up. We had nowhere to take this young lady. I couldn't get her any resources in Tennessee, so I asked my husband, could we bring her to the home? Why? Because I couldn't give up on her. I understood what it was like to not have support. And so this is when they got their keys. I didn't know my husband gave her his number, because we don't give victims our personal cell phone number. We have a hotline number. And so I didn't know that my husband actually gave the kid his number. So I cried when I finally got to talk to her. She's in her place. She works in the hospital. She went through Laura's house. Laura's house is where I got my training. And it was just amazing to know that she now sits as our advisor, director over our quality advisory team. In other words, we want to know what we can do to continue to be better. So we brought her back, and she kind of tells us what to do.
And again, while she was going through her transition through Laura's house, we had no communication with them because they had to be hidden and go through the program. And hence, I had slid that little boy my phone number. And again, like I said, just to, once they got through the program and got situated, for him to give us a call, that was just so heartfelt. And now, like I said, that was our first success story, and hopefully many to come, because like as my wife said, that she's been through it, and what better to give to someone something that you've actually gone through.
Yeah. So she was pregnant with a 2-year-old. So
Yeah.
you can see she's 2 years old.
Yeah, that little baby that you see, she wasn't born yet.
She wasn't
The
born
little
yet.
baby far to the far left, she was, like I said, she had the 2 kids, and she was pregnant with the 3rd child. And like again, this woman, she drove from Tennessee all the way to California, pregnant with these 2 children in the car. And I think at one point they had got a flat tire along the way. So and again, we sent resources for them to get the tire fixed and stuff like that. But that lets me know that, again, she was sick and tired of being sick and tired, because she drove. I don't mean to keep emphasizing, but she drove from Tennessee to California with 2 small children, and I think she was 6 months pregnant at the time. So that's how bad she wanted to get away from her abuser, and just hearing these little children, because like I said, children, they're sponges, and along the way, some of those little children, they were telling some of the stories, and like I said, it was kind of sad but kind of funny at the same time, because the little boy shared with me like, yeah. Daddy tried to run us over off the road in the car. And he said, like I said, you never know what children see and what children go through. And for these little children to divulge that information, that lets me know, like, wow, their kids are paying attention. And like I said, it was heartfelt and kind of humorous at the same time, because I'm sitting there like, oh my God, like little kids, that's TMI right there, right? But the simple fact that these children, they witnessed this, they saw that. And as my wife alluded to earlier, when young boys, they feel that as they grow up, they feel like it's okay. And with young women, they feel like it's okay to sit there and deal with it as well.
Next slide. So our goal is to educate and advocate community involvement and empower the victims and turn them into survivors. And so basically you just have some information where we just thrive to just basically keep doing what we do to break those negative stigmas in the community. Sometimes a victim is going through because they don't have a lot of resources. Sometimes a victim is just going through because that's what they've been taught. But nevertheless, it's our job as advocates, as an organization, as a nonprofit, to make sure that they have the adequate resources that they need, and that they're not limited by their disadvantage, or they're not limited by their circumstances, but that they are empowered through us and through our community. And so we want to provide them with every tool that we can. Next, please. And so basically just some more information about, domestic violence. Basically the main goal for the abuser is to just take control. They just want power. They just want control. And the victim feels hopeless. And I know that if I was a person who was in that situation as I was, I would need someone to believe in me. I would need someone to talk to me. And that's why we formed the 24-hour hotline. So as my husband said, I get up and answer this hotline and just make sure that they have someone to talk to. When she was stuck on the side of the freeway, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was up talking to her because she needed that. And sometimes that's all they need, is someone to talk to. So we have our toll-free hotline number. When we started the organization, I was asked a question by my previous leaders. They said, what would you do if you had nothing to offer them? And I said, talk to them. Why do we have this hotline number? Because sometimes victims are not ready to leave. Yeah. But when they are, we cannot shut them out, because they are an individual that will become a productive citizen of society if we help them and we don't just throw them away as if they don't matter. They matter, and they are individuals, and we can help them become productive. Why? Because I'm that example. And so we have the toll-free number where we get a lot of referrals, and sometimes they're not ready, but we talk to them until they are. There's something called victim blaming. We don't get the right to do that. Yeah. We don't get a right to push them back into that state of mind. For example, as an advocate, if someone comes and says to us, well, you know what, he's stealing my rent money, he beats me, we don't get the right to say, oh, well, why you're still there? But what we do get a right to say was, wow, how does that make you feel? And that gives them responsibility in a very respectful way, but not in a way that we badger them and we beat them. They've been beat enough. and we don't want to beat them anymore. So we want to break them away from the power trips and the negative cycles. So we thank you for your time. We talked a lot probably, but thank you so much. We are working again. We have received grants. Our goal is to keep receiving funding, to keep chasing funding, to keep going after funding. We do have an amazing grant writer, and we're just here to be a pillar in our community and to rise and to be another resource, not to be against anyone, but to be with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Any questions or comments from our commissioners?
I'd like to say thank you for your presentation. It's very noble, and I would love to get your information. I did take notes, but I would love to get a card or something. Maybe you can partner with some of our schools.
Thank you.
I also want to thank you for your presentation, and if we can get access to the slide deck so we could share your information and let the community know that these resources are there for them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sanchez just mentioned one of my asks, which was going to be if we could have the slide deck, that would be great, because I would love to share as well. Just want to, my goodness, thank you for your commitment and the passion and the determination. Intimate partner violence is prevalent throughout all of the United States and, of course, outside of the United States. And it's connected to so many other things. As you stated, it's control, it's power, and it's not so easy for a victim, a survivor,
Yes.
right, to leave. So having that 24-hour availability to have those conversations really empowers the survivors. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
thank you for that.
absolutely. Thanks.
I also wanted to mention, you also provide services for men. We
Yes,
have a
sir.
stigma, right?
Yes, sir.
Men aren't victims, but we know better.
Exactly.
Research shows that they are. So thank you for highlighting that as well.
Yes, sir.
Looking at my notes here, I took so many. In terms of referring for support for services, would they go through the email? I did go on the website while your presentation, by the way. So what would be the best way? Would that be to use the email or?
The toll-free hotline, email, the hotline number is more
Okay.
prevalent. Email is kind of like when when we're emailing resources, stuff like that. But the hotline is 24 hours except for Sunday. They can leave a message, but we answer it typically 24 hours.
Fantastic, thank you. Mr. Bedford, you mentioned, let a kid be a kid.
Yes,
The
sir.
more that we have our kids out there connected to others and having others look at them,
Exactly.
the more safety nets that will be around these kids. Because you mentioned 3 terrible tragedies with those 3 kids that were tortured and killed.
Yes, sir.
So you're right. I mean, the more that we can get some supports around our youth and our kids, obviously the higher probability that they can connect with others and share what's happening. So
they
excellent
need to
point.
know that they are loved as well, because my wife always says, hurt people hurt other people. And by these children being abused, that leads to bullying, that leads to all type of other things, abuse within children. As you guys know, children can be so cruel at times. And again, I can't emphasize that enough, because as much as I love Chuck E. Cheese, just let a kid be a kid for that one day.
Right. Great point.
We
Thank you
do,
both.
if I may, we do have and within our goals, you'll see it in the slideshow, is to take this 24-hour call hotline and turn it into a 24-hour call center. As we see different organizations coming together, putting together all the resources, but how profound would it be to have one call center that these individuals can call 24 hours a day when these other organizations cannot answer their phone, to be able to call this call center and have access to it 2, 3, because the abuse doesn't stop.
You are absolutely right about that. And I thank you so much for your presentation, just because child abuse, domestic violence, all of those things are something that the Antelope Valley has struggled with for a very long time. And unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic only exacerbated that, because with many parents and many young people in homes and not having access to outside support, outside resources, X, Y, and Z, it's isolating. And that causes the cycle of violence, as you were just talking about, to continue. And so in order for us to end that cycle and for us to allow the violence to stop propagating itself, I think it's so important that we find ways to bring all of these efforts together.
Yes.
Because there are so many people in the community that are doing work surrounding, child abuse and domestic violence prevention. And I appreciate your efforts here, especially with Children's Awareness Day and whatnot. So I really want to see if there's a way that we, as well as other community organizations and entities, can start to bring all of this work together.
Yes.
So I really appreciate all the work that you're doing, and I thank you so much for your presentation.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Chairman.
Chairman Pope? So, God bless you both. This is incredible. So, one of the new things we're doing in public safety is we're going to be doing podcasts and also putting certain public safety items on the city's channel, L28, I believe it is. And we'd love to invite you to be on our podcast if that would interest you, as well as possibly do a segment on L28 where we can let the community know about the good work you're doing
Yes, sir.
and hopefully
we
reach some victims.
actually have, not to cut you off, but I just thought about it when you were speaking. I don't know, Chris Nellinger, we have a retired
Police officer at
on
San
our board.
Joaquin.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And he spoke at our conference, and the day he spoke, he cried because one of his friends got killed by her abuser.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't take this lightly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And congratulations also.
Thank you.
Kim will be in
Yes.
touch with you.
Any other questions?
I don't believe so. Again, thank you so much,
Thank you,
and
guys.
we'll be in touch.
Thank you guys so much. Again, on behalf of Damaged
I'm gonna
Good,
leave him.
my wife and I.
Chairman Pope, I had something really quick. Mr. and Mrs. Bedford, I wanted to thank you. Thank you so much for your presence and your presentation. I can really feel the passion that you have. I can tell this is not just an organization that you're a part of. This, I can see that you're speaking from your heart. So thank you for your courage, because it's not easy to speak about your trauma, but you're using it to help other people. So I want to commend you for being here. Thank you for all of the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be in contact.
Thank you guys. You guys have a good evening.
Perfect. And thank you so much again for all of those presentations. As of right now, is there any public business from the floor?
This is a time to address the Lancaster Social Equity Commission on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each unless a different time limit is announced. State law prohibits the commission from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you so much. So we can now move to commissioner comments. And with that being said, I know that we have been doing a lot over these past few months in the community, but before we get to any of that, I do just want to say congratulations to our newly sworn in and inaugurated Chief of Police for the City of Lancaster. I know that with you being appointed to this position, that's going to lead to a lot of bright days in terms of public safety for the City of Lancaster. I know you come from Sierra Madre, which is, where I went to school, so have that affinity for you in that way, but I just really appreciate your focus and your dedication to ensuring that young people are safe in this community. Greatly appreciate that, and I cannot wait to see all of the amazing things that you're able to do in this position.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and we are highly excited, and I applaud this community, this council for taking a step outside the box and saying, let's do something different to make our community safer. I didn't know you went to school in Sierra Madre. We'll have to talk about that. And but I want you to know that we're going to do some special things, and that equity is on our minds, and that we want to try and have a department and efforts that are reflective of this incredible community, this extremely diverse community. So, and we'll probably be calling upon you like we did with some of our other hirings, because we want community input to ensure we're selecting the right officers to work in our city. So don't be surprised if I tap you on your shoulders and say, hey, come do some interviews with me.
Perfect, absolutely. I look forward to the collaboration. Do any of our commissioners have comments?
Yes, sir. So this commission was a part of the Juneteenth celebration a couple of months ago, and in that celebration, we had a survey that the subcommittee put together. So we learned a lot in that. We presented the data last week. However, there are still some tweaks and things that we should do to the survey to get better data, so that when we roll this survey out on the Lancaster website, it's a better product. In addition, because we have inducted new members, I feel it would be very effective if we set aside some time to have a planning meeting so that we can plan more intimately on where this commission is going, what are our goals, what's the information that we've taken in so far. So I would like to make a motion that we set aside some time on a Wednesday in the near future to have a planning meeting that would be open to the public, but just take place in the place where we have our planning meetings again. Okay, perfect. Can I make a suggestion for the date and time? So can we look at October 4th at 5 p.m.? Thank you.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Deloach. I think that's a fantastic idea. I just want to take a moment also to congratulate Chief of Police Armelin. I've had the pleasure of working with you less than a year, but we have worked on a couple situations during the last few months to help support our local children and families. So I want to thank you for that. And I am confident that the best selection was made. You have been incredible during the last few months that I've had the pleasure of knowing you. You're going to do great. I was going to say good luck, and I will, but you're going to do great because you're a fantastic professional in person. So congrats again.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Commissioner Sanchez?
I want to congratulate you as well, and I want to thank our presenters for their presentations today.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Before we adjourn, there are a few other items that I'd like to get to just very quickly. Firstly, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize that it is Hispanic Heritage Month, which starts September 15th and goes until October 15th, and it recognizes all of the contributions that Latinx and Hispanic leaders have made to both our community and to the fabric of our country. So I would be remiss if we did not at least bring that up before we had adjourned today. Also, just in regards to the presentations that we had heard this evening, there was quite a bit of effort and emphasis that was placed on support. In all of the presentations that we heard today, I'm sure that we can leave this council chamber knowing that in order for people to be in the optimum place to achieve their goals, they need to have a support system. And so I want for the commission over these next few months to work as hard as possible to figure out how exactly we can really integrate all of those support systems together, because there are so many people in our community that are experiencing so much. And if we bring all of those efforts together, then I know that we're going to be able to do something great, just because there are many efforts in the community that people have been working very ardently on, and sometimes those efforts are replicated without getting all of the people that need to be at the table at those tables. So I really want to ensure that we're doing as much work as possible to look at the impacts of support on success and figure out exactly what recommendations we can send over to the council to improve rates of youth success and whatnot. In addition to that, I know that we have been experiencing a few health crises and challenges in this community, especially relating to, for example, heat safety and whatnot. So I would definitely like for our commission also moving forward to start looking at the equity effects of public health, because those are incredibly important in ensuring that our desert is resilient, especially in the face of many natural disasters and incidents and whatnot. And yes, I mean, I just appreciate so much all of the work that everybody has done on all of these priorities that we talked about this evening. And if there is no further commentary or no further questions, I would like to adjourn this meeting at 6:27 p.m. And we will see you all for the next Social Equity Commission meeting on October